how would you like to add more distance to your game, particularly the driver? I know I would. One of the more frustrating things as we get older is we may see a reduction in how far we hit the ball. But today, with the help of the HackMotion wrist sensor, I'm going to be showing you how you can change your wrist pattern in your golf swing to produce more powerful, penetrating drives. One of the most common complaints from golfers is that they don't hit the ball far enough. Many of them believe it's because they're not able to turn their body sufficiently, and that sometimes is the case. So today we're going to discuss ways in which I can help you to make a better turn in your backswing, and using the help of the HackMotion wrist sensor, we're going to talk about ways to move this club further around you than you ever have before in order to create more potential power and hit the ball further than you ever have before. There are two really simple setup hacks that you can use to help you increase your rotation in the backswing. Number one, turn your feet out. So many golfers have their feet pinned in. It's very limiting in terms of rotation on both the backswing and the follow through. Turn your feet out. For most of you, turning your trail foot out more will help you to increase the range of motion you have with this backswing rotation. The trail hip moves back much, much easier. Just try it. Just wherever you are right now, just stand up, take your golf posture, try turning with your feet pinned in like this, and then try turning your feet out and making the same motion. I think you'll agree that with the foot turned out, you've got a much easier route into this backswing. So let's take that tip one step further. We've got the foot turned out. Now we're just going to pull the trail foot back. That helps to just close our hip and our shoulder turn a little bit more at setup and makes the route to the top of the swing and this extra rotation much easier to achieve. So if you're struggling to turn properly, try turning your feet out, try pulling your trail foot back. I think you'll find that'll help you to turn much, much easier. Unfortunately for so many of you, months, if not years, of poor body motion has led to some compensatory wrist motion, which is inefficient and costing you distance. When you don't turn your body correctly, you're forced to move the wrists in a way that helps you to make a longer backswing in order to try and feel like you're creating power, but it has the negative impact of opening the club face and forcing your swing into this out to in pattern, which typically results in slicing and a loss of distance. So with the help of the HackMotion wrist sensor, we're going to apply those little setup changes that I talked about earlier, but we're also going to talk about how at the top of the swing to lengthen the swing via more flexing of this lead wrist, making that wrist as flat as you possibly can to get the club to travel as far as it can. That's not only going to produce more power because the length of the swing has increased via better wrist conditions and more rotation, but it's going to keep the club face closed enough that it'll allow us to swing more from in to out. That is going to produce a much more powerful and much more efficient delivery of the golf club into the ball. Let me show you the bad one first. So this would be a poorer player's body motion in terms of the feet pinned in, lack of rotation, and then wrist angles to compensate and lengthen the swing. You can even make an overswing here, but this is super inefficient and a very weak way to deliver the club to the ball. So the contact on the face was pretty nice, but that ball sliced wickedly off to the right-hand side. Let's take a look at the HackMotion data and see what it's telling me. So as we take a look at the data, we look at the setup position. The lead wrist was in a tiny amount of extension, which is fairly typical for someone with a relatively neutral grip. That number might change slightly depending on how you hold the club, but 16 degrees of extension is quite normal at setup. But then you'll see that red number in the center of the screen there. The top position, I was 46 degrees extended. That means I'd taken this wrist and I'd added more extension. And what that's doing in the backswing, it may well help me to lengthen the swing, feel like the club's going back a long way, but it's opening this club face significantly. And that's causing me to then have to swing out to in. I swung 5 degrees out to in on that last swing, and I sliced the ball wickedly to the right. That ball only managed to carry around 150 yards. That's a terrible distance for someone who can hit it much further than that with a more efficient movement. So that's the poor golfer doing it. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with a modified setup and HackMotion helping us to get the wrists into that much more powerful condition. So setup modifications, turn the feet out, pull the right foot back. And then looking at my iPad here, I can see the live number of the sensor changing here. I'm going to go ahead and take this from what's around 18, 16, 15 degrees of extension at setup. And as I swing to the top, I want to feel like I move my wrist more towards flexion. So you'll see there how the number reads 2 degrees flexed, 3 degrees flexed. That would be a good pattern to move towards. That's about 15 to 20 degrees of adding flexion in the backswing. Now, I'm doing that visually, just looking at the sensor. If I wanted to take it even further, I could push it to 10, 11. And as I do that, I'm able to swing this club back a really nice distance. It's going to give me a lot of power. I'm doing that visually. You can make use of the audio feedback feature on HackMotion to help you change the wrist angles and get audio feedback for that position. But I've got a good sense of what I need to do here. I've got to twist that wrist in this direction here. I see how that number's moving to even 11, 12, even I get it to 20 degrees of flexion. That's a lot, but if you do that, you're going to be able to swing back down on a much better swing path. Your club's going to shallow. You're going to be able to deliver this club in a significantly more efficient fashion, and we should be able to add plenty of distance to this driver. Nice push draw there, decent contact, maybe a little bit high on the face, but a completely different shot to what we hit a second ago. And the numbers on HackMotion are very quick to tell me that I did a good job there. I knew I hit a better shot. The ball's carried 222 meters, that's about 250 yards. It's a significant difference to the first shot that I hit. And the ball drew or curved to the left rather than a wicked slice into the trees on the right. Take a look at the screen, you'll see that at setup, my lead wrist was set in almost an identical position. The first swing was 16 degrees extended, this one was 17. So I didn't change my grip, but what I did change was the position at the top. Rather than adding extension and opening this club face, which was the pattern from the slice, I actually closed the face slightly. I flexed the wrist 5 more degrees than I had done at setup. And anywhere between a sort of 5 to 15 degree change there at the top would be something that's ideal and to look for. You can use this tool to encourage more than that if you need it. And equally, you can encourage yourself to take a slightly smaller adjustment if you only need to make a small change to your swing. But that's a nice change at the top. The green numbers tell me very quickly that I'm moving my wrist in the right position. And the outcome and the ball flight tells me that I'm delivering the club in a way that's allowing me to have better contact and much, much better distance. So there are a couple of very simple setup ideas that can transform the amount of rotation you're able to make in your backswing. And the wrist motion changes that come from that will significantly improve your potential distance and ball striking. If you really want to understand what's going on in the golf swing at the wrist level, then the HackMotion wrist sensor is without doubt the best training aid on the market in order for you to do that. And one of the best things about this tool is that you can set the range of change in your wrist motion that's specific to you, because everybody's amounts will differ based on their swing tendencies, their body shape and type, and the way they grip the club in the first place. So if you want to learn more about this training aid, you can go to hackmotion.com and find out more information.